Oh, we're live.
It's live.
We are live. Welcome to the Six Ring King Show. I'm Jan Santana, joined here by Paul Austria, Jock Givens, and David Eversole. What's going on, my peoples? How you guys doing?
What it is, brother?
What's chilling?
Better than Saturday.
Today we are having a cold one, so it's been a long day today for me, but it is what it is, man. I want to thank you guys for coming on the show. I know we got a lot to cover.
Got to make Jazz feel better.
Nah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good, man. I'm feeling all right. But I feel you though. We'll try to cover as much as we can today. We'll talk a little bit. We'll recap a little bit of Clemson. Not too much. We don't want to go into it too much more because it is what it is, man. We got to, just like the Canes, right? We got to move forward. We got to look forward. We got to look at Pitt. Maybe we'll try to get into some recruiting stuff, some light recruiting news, and also some transfer portal stuff that we all know about now as well. But without further ado, let's talk a little bit Clemson. Just to recap again, obviously, tough game to drop against the nation's #1 football team. Obviously, they showed who they are, right? They showed that they are the #1 team in the country. We showed that we still have some things to clean up and some things to fix, and obviously our deficiencies at certain positions that really stood out in this game. They really exposed some of those things, including the wide receiver position, a little bit of the linebacker position, as well as offensive line a little bit. Not so much, but I think we did okay on the line. But definitely the wide receiver position was the biggest thing that I think we all took away from that. Not being able to separate and get the ball to our outside guys really kind of cut down what it is that Rhett Lashley could do to kind of put this game plan together. So, I want to hear from you guys on just a little bit about that. Just recap a little bit about what you want to see the Canes do better and what they showed on Clemson, what you think they can get better at. We'll start with Jakari.
Oh, well, number one, I think, this game plan this week, everybody's going to try to deploy that Clemson game plan where they're going to stack the box and force De'Aaron King to throw. So at some point, somebody has to step up out of the receivers to make plays because that's only going to help the offense. If they can't do that, then we're going to have a long ACC season. D. Wiggins flashed a little bit against Florida State. I just think him and Pope are not good route runners. So it kind of shows when they're running routes. They had the play that the kid caught the interception on. He broke it up. He broke it up when he bounced back. And it was like, oh, he made a great play, but it was not a good play. The receiver ran a terrible route. He came in trying to run a deep route, and then he restacked to the outside. I mean, the DB is going to always be in phase in that position always because you didn't do nothing to get no separation on the go route. He was never he never stacked them. He never did any of that stuff. So he never created separation. So the guy made a good play. But the receiver position is number one for me. Their offensive line will be tested again this week because Pitt D-line is very good. So I just want to see them handle it better. I don't think it's too much they have to do. It's just Clemson was the better team, so it showed. Miami, we talked about on Saturday after the game, they missed a lot of opportunities. The game could have been closer than what the score indicated. So this week, we just have to move forward with the opportunities. And when they get the turnovers, you got to capitalize. You can't just go right back, get a turnover, and turn it right back over to the offense. You have to capitalize off the block field goals. That saved, 6 points? Because we blocked 2, I think. And one was returned we blocked 3, and then one was returned for a touchdown. So it's capitalizing on the opportunities. Like I said, Pitt has 2 good defensive linemen. One of them, Jalen Taiwan, he's gonna be a NFL draft pick. So we got to see what they're gonna do with that. But I think overall this week is just a focused game, man. Just come out, hit Pitt in the mouth. Just don't, show them like, hey, last week was just an anomaly. That's the top team in the country. You guys can't hang with us. Pitt is okay on offense. They have the quarterback, the guy, he's okay. But overall, I think Miami should be able to dominate. The linebacker play was not that bad to me. They missed out on some opportunities, but Bradley Jennings made a few plays here and there. Sam Brooks made some plays. So I'm not too concerned about the linebacker position. I just want to see the receivers make more plays on the outside.
Yeah, you bring up a good point about the linebackers. I guess I was kind of talking about some of the older guys like Zach McLeod had some issues in coverage. Bradley Jennings did all right. Brooks
But
had,
then again, he's trying to cover Travis Etienne out the backfield. That's a matchup nightmare for most linebackers in the country. So, like I said, the middle of the field did get exposed by the coverage they were playing because the tight ends was killing them on the deep crossing routes and stuff like that. I would like to see Baker go ahead and drop one of his safeties down. I don't know if Carter being out hurt that or Hall being out in the first half hurt that because they took advantage of the young kid. So we're gonna be without Carter. I know Carter's gonna be eligible to play right away because
yeah,
I think he got
I think
his
that was early on. Yeah, I think
yeah.
it's
So
Smith. It's Keontre Smith will be out the first
yes. So that's the thing I want to see. That was an egregious call, by the way. I didn't agree with that one. But, I just want to see him use his safeties more in the box. Fearson played a great game. He finally showed some flashes. So Miami overall played okay. They just missed opportunities, and missed opportunities against a team that's better than you is going to kill you all the time. So I
time.
just want to see Miami just keep building off what we've seen in the first 3 games. Teams are going to stack the box. So I want to see more play action this week. I want to see Brevin Jordan and Will Mallory line more up on the end line at tight end instead of flexing them out all the time, so we can hit them with a little play action passes and stuff like that. So
Yeah, Paul, I want to come to you on this because Jock brought up some good things. He also mentioned the linebacker play wasn't actually terrible, which it wasn't. It wasn't at all. But I know that some like you said, some mismatches with Travis Etienne. Everybody's going to have an issue with that guy. But the coaches did mention Blake Baker and something and Jonathan Padkey, and then they mentioned the play of specifically Corey Flagg. They said that he played a really good game. They said Sam Brooks, with the exception of that first touchdown that was kind of on him, played a heck of a game too. He laid the wood on Travis Etienne up the middle on one play. So the linebacker play did look better from the younger guys as well. So I want to get to you on this. Do you think, because they did mention it in the press conference, getting those guys more playing time and also seeing Tyreek Austin Cave play a little bit more and maybe even get to what's his name, Avery Huff as well. Do you think that this is the time to start playing those guys a little bit more because of the talent that they have and the flash that they're showing in certain games, Paul?
I definitely do. I wouldn't think of it more as like pressing the panic button in any kind of way, but I'm a huge fan of Sam Brooks. I feel like that guy is willing to lay down the wood, and he's on the skinnier side, which is amazing to me. But he's willing to shoot the gaps and lay down the wood. Like he's not going to shy away from physicality whatsoever. Like you mentioned, I think Baker did mention Corey Flagg, who they feel like is very instinctive, plays more like a veteran and treats the game like a veteran. I think he was a very high volume tackler when he was in high school, so it's good to see that he's definitely progressing well. Thing is, I feel like for the past like maybe 2 or 3 years, even if you include like Quarterman, Pickney, those guys weren't exactly great in coverage. Um, but I think it's just kind of how I don't know. It's just kind of the way it is. But I feel like they should at least give looks to even Austin Cave. Austin Cave is fast for guys' size. He is super fast.
He's a
He's
big
willing
dude.
to. Hmm?
He's a big dude too. Big kid.
Yeah, he's 6'2", and it's him. And also, I would want to see what Huff is about. I mean, Huff was rated fairly well, I think, in 2019. What it was, coming out of high school. So I think that I mean, not even just the linebackers. Like I feel like even at I mean, it's kind of off topic, but even at receiver, or you kind of want to see what the freshmen are about because
yes,
it was just sad. There wasn't so, like you gotta help out, like King. You gotta help out your quarterback. Like it was just kind of sad. Like if Derrick King was looking to throw and no one was getting open, he was forced to run. He kind of saved Miami like 2 or 3 times. With kind of some scrambles, but you got to help him out, man. And I'm just worried that like Pope, Harley, and Wiggins are kind of getting comfortable with their seniority in the lineup because they know they're gonna get the playing time. So they're kind of just like, okay,
I,
we're not in danger of losing our spots. But
Right.
there's on the bench. There's guys like Michael Redding. Restrepo is super hungry. Who else? Keyshawn Smith, I feel like can
Peyton.
be a big and Peyton
hey,
as well. There's a lot of good young guys on this team that are are
but
are are ready anytime.
I'll take this today. But do you feel like the coaches feel like those 3 guys get them the best chance to win? and Harley, Pope, and Wiggins, or is it more so like, hey, we're gonna get them the seniors and juniors the chance out? Because if those kids were better, I feel like they would be playing over those guys. But I don't. I'm kind of lost too. I mean, Peyton Flash, but they will. I want to know how you feel
Look,
about that.
Dave, I want you to talk about this, but before you get to that, just listen. Gregory Rousseau and I want to go back to last year. Didn't start to the 6th game, right? Because he had Scott Patton in front of him, so it took him a little bit of time for them to realize, wait a second, what the hell are we doing here? Having this kid,
let's put him on the field.
Right? So let's put him on the field. Maybe it's going to take that. Maybe it's going to take 2 or 3 games. I think right now is when you're going to start. I mean, I'm hoping, wishful thinking, Dave, that they're going to start seeing that, hey, these young kids can play at wideout. Let's give them a shot because, I mean, it's not going to get any, how much worse could it get, right?
Well, and I think competition is going to make everybody better. And those guys should be looking over their shoulders. It was a poor performance from your upperclassmen in the wide receiver spot. And I think those young guys should get some early run just to see what they can do and give them a chance. They've been sitting there chomping at the bit. And I don't think that there's been the separation from Pope and Harley to justify the starting roles or those, increased playing time roles based solely on tenure. I think the game plan got away from the Hurricanes early because they really shot themselves in the foot and put themselves on the 8 ball really, really early with stupid mistakes, especially on defense. And they totally got out of the game plan. They weren't able to run the ball at all. And I think they just kind of were one-sided. And that didn't really help because they were behind and Clemson could just lock in on the receivers. There was really not much threat of a running game, especially on the inside. So it was basically a lot of long shots that weren't connecting. And I think they need to kind of just look at the formations and see if you can get some different packages out there and just put the guys in different positions. I think you're trying to take a lot of deep shots against one-on-one coverage on the outside, and they weren't winning those matchups. I think they just kept going back to that well a little bit too often. And if you're not having success, you got to do something different. And the offensive line, I don't think they played a really great game. They didn't seem to communicate well. I don't really know if it was a physical thing, but Clemson, Venables is going to run a lot of games up front, and they were just coming off with twists and stunts up front, and they weren't picking guys up. Yeah, and just pressures from different levels, and they didn't handle that well. So there's a lot to clean up. There's going to be a lot of film that they're going to have to watch and a few procedural things they're going to have to address. But I'm all for seeing some of these young guys at least get a couple series out there, see what they can do. Like you said, Jazz, they really can't be much worse. And Will Mallory is a real mystery. The guy has 3 catches for the whole season. I just don't know what's going on there. I know he's a little bit banged up, they said a couple weeks ago, but something seems to miss.
I think, like I said, they can use Jordan and Mallory together because you can line Mallory up as a traditional tight end. You could put Brevin Jordan in the slot. Stuff like that. We don't see that enough. A lot of the times it's just when they're both on the field, they're both lined up out wide. They're going to create mismatches. And Will Mallory had a touchdown at the seam if De'Aaron King make a better throw. Right. But at the same time, I'm with you, Dave. Like, I would like to see them, hey, let's flex them down, hand in the ground, stuff like that. Because teams, like this week, you're probably going to see Pitt 8 in the box. All right, let's go. Let's see if De'Aaron King can beat us. Let's see if he can win. But I'm all for it. I do think you brought this up too, Jazz, on Saturday. I do want to see more QB run game out of De'Aaron King. I think a lot of the time on that 4th and 1 when they got stopped, I feel like if he pulled the ball there, he could have just picked up the 1 yard. But I do think it's too much relying on Harris and Knighton and Chaney to pick up yards when you can use the quarterback as a decoy to kind of run something.
King took some shots in that game, too. King got roughed up a little bit against Clemson. He took a few big shots in that game. Yeah, and so maybe that kind of pumped the brakes a little bit on it.
And you know why? It's because, again, wide receivers weren't getting separation. He had to stay in the pocket a lot longer, and he decided to try to find someone open, and that's why he got in some trouble and he took those shots. So I totally agree. I don't know if for me, I don't know if the offensive line played terrible. I mean, they blitzed a lot of times. They sent multiple guys. They sent 7, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys sometimes on some blitzes. So that kind of threw off the offensive line. And yes, some twists and stunts and all that as well. I think they did okay. I do want them to clean up before we get, before we move on. I want them to clean up their pre-snap penalties, and a lot of, Frierson talked about it today in the press conference, and some of the other coaches talked about it. Also, we got to clean up the penalties. Too many penalties. 14 penalties, 144 yards. It's unacceptable.
For false starts.
Yeah, you can't win a football game like that.
And then those offsides killed them on the first
They
drive.
They
getting off the field is 0-0 at that point.
I think 3 straight games of double-digit penalties too. So it's a trend now.
And three penalties end up leading to Clemson touchdowns later on.
Correct. Yes.
That was and believe it or not, that was the game. If you think about it, a guy like, listen, we still have Bubba Bolden was still Defensive Player of the Week in the ACC. So what does that tell you? That the defense didn't play horrible, right? We had some penalties that put us in bad positions, and Clemson, being the number 1 team in the country, took advantage of it, and it is what it is. So, again, Jock, I'm with you, man. Just clean up a couple things. I think they'll be okay. But kind of getting to that. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I do think I want to see Carter play a little linebacker, though.
Carter? I do want to see Carter stay in the game the whole 4 quarters. That's what I
mean, that's true, but I think
we'll start
moving him down in the box at linebacker will help the team a lot more.
If we do a drinking game with Amari Carter, I think Dave will be completely wasted by the time the second quarter rolls around.
I want a prize picks with over/under on targeting calls for Hurricanes next week.
With Hurricanes, just Hurricanes as a whole.
Just Hurricanes targeting call. Over/under 1.5.
I like the aggressiveness, but those guys, like, first game of the year, it's like, all right, it's the first game. Second game, okay, yeah, maybe they still getting in the field, but it's the 4th game. You had 2 weeks to prepare for the game. That's kind of just senseless flags. Like,
look, the Keontre Smith one was kind of bogus. That's a bogus call. Okay, I mean, the guy came. That's Jock. You know this better than probably any of us. That's form tackling. That's perfect tackle.
Yeah,
you lead with your, that's what you're taught, right? It's to tackle that way. So for them to call a penalty, that's just completely bogus. But it is what it is.
The refs had the over.
Yeah, the refs have the.
They needed that second call.
I wouldn't doubt it. And then Trevor Lawrence, Mr. Fabio over there, went down crying, and then all of a sudden, when he got the penalty, he was dancing on the sideline. Yeah, there you go. He was exactly what he was doing, Doc.
Hey, but listen, one thing I am excited about this week is, like you've been alluding to, and we've been tweeting about it, all of us. This Miami team does have a different feel to it. Like, this is not last year where it was like. Last year, I was worried. Like, after they lost the game, it was like, well, is this going to carry over to the next game? Like, I feel like we're going to see, I want to see King's going to come out 300 yards passing, 80 rushing yards, something like that. I feel in my heart.
Yeah. I can see that. It'd be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see tomorrow what De'Aaron King and Cam Harris and those guys are going to talk about in their press conference. I want to hear their demeanor. What they say. I think it's gonna speak volumes. So we'll see. But getting good. It's a terrible segue actually. The wide receiver position. But we were talking a lot about the wide receivers. However, Jock, Paul, we all mentioned it in the chat. This kid Youngblood from Kansas State decides to enter a transfer portal. Right, big time punt returner, very good wide receiver. Would instantaneously be the number 1 wide receiver for the Miami Hurricanes. I feel, I don't know. You might know. You played in Kansas. You might know these guys over there.
The only thing I would say about that is you don't know how how Pope and Wiggins are practicing. So that's the kind of number 1. But Youngblood, like I said, I haven't seen much of him at receiver. I know he made a lot of big plays in the special teams game last season, which that's a big part of football. So if you're able to add him and he can develop into a receiver, of course. I mean, it's not like you have, first round guys out there. Like, these guys are struggling. You made a good point, Jazz. Remember the conversation we had a while back where I was telling you about the coaching from Dade and Broward, right? You see Pope and Wiggins, 2 Dade County kids, they still out there running high school routes, posts, bombs, not getting no separation. The Restrepo kid, his head coach at Deerfield said that he is up there in the realms of Jerry Jeudy and stuff like that. I don't know about that because Judy's a very good receiver. So I would like to see Restrepo because they spoke so highly of him, and he was making plays. Like every scrimmage they had, he always had like a 70-yard touchdown. So I'm excited for him to be playing punt return because I think he's gonna get some opportunities there. I don't know if the transfer portal can work. Obviously, it has helped us in the past, but I kind of want to see the guys like Miami develop the guys they have on the roster because
Absolutely.
that's what helps in recruiting because a kid can say, hey, they developed this guy into this type of receiver. I can go there and be this type of receiver. So transfer portal helps a lot.
You got to mention it. You have to mention it because the Miami Hurricanes have done such a good job with it. Wide receiver worked out with KJ Osborne last year. Yeah. I'm not saying that Youngblood is going to come to Miami, but you always have to mention it because you always get that feel like Miami's
and he's young.
Always looking at that portal, right?
Yeah, he's young. I think he was a true freshman last year. So yes, of course if he comes, he got 3 years. Actually, well, this year doesn't count. And then I think they're trying to propose a rule that transfers get instant eligibility grants. From what I read earlier today. So
what do you mean? Like if he transfers right now,
right now. So yes, so in the off season, no, in the off season, when they transfer
for the next
school,
season
later
on,
on,
they don't have to sit out. That would be great for the kids because it will help them.
Hey.
But like I said, I want to see more development because those guys have talent. Pope, Wiggins, Harley has talent, but at this point, are you comfortable? Are you not working hard? Because for what it looked like to us on the outside looking in, guys are not putting in no work. Freshman, sophomore year is no improvement. And I don't know if they should move them around. Maybe Harley or Pope go to inside, Wiggins, or maybe the route. I don't know. But I do, I want to see them develop. Those kids are from, the area I'm from. So I have a kind of a bias. I want to see those kids develop. That's why I know they're not working hard because you would see it. So the offense is designed for Miami to make big plays, and they want to do it with the receivers.
So I just don't think those guys are over the top receivers, though.
No,
they're not winning 50-50 balls.
Oh,
they're not. A lot of those guys, they're not winning those one-on-one matchups on the outside. Where you could just throw the ball up to them. Maybe you got to run them a little bit over the middle and try to make those big plays in a different way. Get them in space closer to the line of scrimmage instead of trying to max protect and throw the ball 40 yards down the field. I just don't – none of those guys were really even in a position to get a lot of those 50-50 balls. And the DBs seemed like they were running the routes better than the wide receivers.
Yeah.
So you got to change something up, I think, with formation, play calling, something. Put them in a different position because that wasn't working.
But, Paul, Jazz, do you feel like lining Jordan them up at tight end more is going to work better than just putting them out at the slot just – that because most times they're not in the game together. They were in the game together and they ran a double pass early in the game.
Oh yeah,
and they ran a double pass. All right, that's when I knew Miami was trying to make a statement. But I think we had a flag on the play or something and they called it back.
It was I think it was pass interference. I think wasn't it?
It was pass interference. Yeah, it was pass interference on the guy that was covering Mallory. I think it was Landon Sanders. I think that called the PI. Yeah,
that ball was in the air for a long time.
I mean, yeah,
whenever you guys watch a game and y'all see trick plays or something like that, that means the team is desperate for something to go their way. So every time whenever you see trick plays or anything out of the normal, you're desperate. You're desperate to try to make a big play. The coach is panicking, like Manny Diaz, this game might get out of hand. I got to do something to get my team a spark.
Well, I think to answer your question, John, I think that if you line them up closer to the line of scrimmage, you might have an opportunity to get them to sneak out on some routes, maybe some drag routes, some crossing routes. That defense might get a little confused and not see them or kind of lose them in traffic, and that potentially could be huge for them to kind of get out in open space because they can make plays in the open space. We've seen both of them jump over guys, run guys over, whatever the case is. And of course, then you can also run these out and up routes from close in that you can throw it up to those guys, go up and get it. So I think that makes sense.
It's better matchups for them too, because when you line them up at slot, I mean, I'm a defensive coordinator on the sideline. I'm seeing nines in the slot. let's roll one of my safeties down to cover him. When he's on the end line, linebackers match up with him. Safeties have to match, like safeties are matching up with them in a different way. But if you put an athletic guy over top of them, it's kind of easier for them guys. They're athletic for their size, but still, like, they're not as, they're not as talented as, not talented, but the guys are just as talented as them on the outside.
Right.
I like Brevin Jordan at the H-back too. I like him actually in the backfield. I like him coming out of there because you could flex. You could do anything with him, just starting him in the backfield or bringing him in from the outside to the backfield before they set. I like him in that H-back spot. Not so much as a blocker, obviously, but you can get him in different configurations, in that H-back spot, and like you said, find those matchups.
Can you imagine him running that play that they call for that kid Galloway on that touchdown, where they had the
delay,
delay, a tight end delay? That's all day with Brevin Jordan. Those are the type, and he was. I think Galloway was in the backfield on that play. Possibly.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
it's better. It's just better matchups because at the end of the day, they're still tight ends. They're not outside guys, and you have too much speed on the outside to be surrendering a fourth slot. Surrender him in a slot. Like, imagine him, Harley, Restrepo, Pope. What's my other guy? Wiggins' name out there. And you can run him out of the H-back or the off the line, something like that. It's like you're limiting your weapons like that. But like I said, I want to see those guys develop. They're gonna have a good chance against Pitt because Pitt's secondary is kind of suspect. They do have a good safety in Paris Ford. Guy probably get drafted. He's a good, safety, but they're gonna have their chances. So I want to see what
I remember Paris Ford. I think Miami was in on him for some time before he went to Pitt. That's he's definitely a good safety. I want to see Jeremiah Payton get some more burn. I think that kid, he might be, the best. I know he's coming back from, the Rona and all that stuff, but I think he has a shot to be pretty good. Keyshawn Smith, I want to see more of him, and I definitely want to see more of the other guys like Redding, Michael Redding, who has a lot of talent, can go up and get the ball. If you've seen his highlights of his route running, he's not a Miami-Dade kid, so we know that he can run routes a little bit better. That's a big dude here that I think can make some plays also. And Restrepo is always, it reminds me of that Braxton Berrios mold. I'm not saying he is Braxton Berrios, but he's in that mold. So yeah, definitely, man, we got to see all those guys play. On defense, I definitely want to see some of the younger guys like Brooks and Corey Flagg get some more time at linebacker with Jennings. Which reminds me, another recruiting update is Brandon Jennings, the brother of Bradley Jennings, decommitted from Florida State today.
Yeah.
Today, Paul? It was today?
It was
like a couple days ago, I think.
So that's big. That's big. They had 3
Monday, yesterday.
Yeah, it was yesterday. So Brandon Jennings, another 4-star guy that could potentially come down here and play with his brother. That would be huge because he's a big time guy. He was the best recruit in Florida State's class, and that's saying something because they always have a pretty good recruiting class. So Brandon Jennings out of I forgot where he's out of. He's obviously up there, Sandalwood. So there you go.
Jacksonville.
So that would be huge, maybe to get a guy like that. Those are the guys you got to recruit. Those are the guys you got to win the recruiting battles with. Another one is Mason Smith, who put Miami in his top 5. He's the number 3 defensive tackle in the country, number 1 player in Louisiana, in the state of Louisiana. A lot of people think he's LSU bound, no matter what, but he's got Miami, LSU, Florida, Georgia, and Bama in his top 5. Hard to compete with those guys, but hey, you never know. When Miami's in it with those 4 teams, that says something. If you can get a guy like that and Leonard Taylor, who you already have on the board, now you're talking about some big boys in the middle. So that's going
to be huge for the future.
That would be huge. But those are the type of recruiting battles that Miami needs to win to start competing with Clemson's and Alabama's. And listen, next year, our first game of the year is Alabama, so you better get it right. You know what I mean? So that's not going to be easy with a first-year quarterback probably and TBD. So
I think King's going to come back for another season though.
Me too.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, depending on how the rest of the year plays out. I mean, if he just goes nuts, then I can see him leaving. But I can also see him coming back. We have a question here from Anthony Manzano. Says, do you think there should be a package with 3 of our tight ends that we have on the roster on the field together? So I guess he's talking about Larry Hodges, which is a talented player, and we saw a little bit of from him last year. Could there be a package where they have all 3 on the field together that could be a successful package. What do you guys think?
Oof. I think with two, they're okay. I feel like them worrying about Jordan and Mallory would already cause problems, and them lining up close to the line or more inside. Um, I mean, I feel like I would still want at least two receivers out there because I feel like they'd probably have only one receiver out there if they run a 3 tight end set.
Right.
I think.
Yeah, unless maybe they're going power and they're in the goal line or something. I don't see them doing that too much. So
yeah,
man, Red Lashley's offense not built for that. Yeah, so
yeah.
Even in the goal line, they're still going to go spread. And
yeah.
do that. So another good question, which is something I wanted to bring up also. It looks like USC is going after another 2021 quarterback, right? That kid Jackson Dart, I think is his name, or something. Dart. Another kid out of California. Does that give us the possibility of now we're talking about really flipping Jake Garcia over to Miami? His playing situation is kind of crazy, right? He was ruled ineligible to play in Georgia. I don't know is he still in Georgia trying to get a waiver to play, or he's gone?
I think it's like for sure he's not. He can't play.
He can't play. What is
they said that Leonard Taylor was kind of trying to recruit him over to Miami. So
everyone on the class is trying to recruit him.
Who doesn't want to try to recruit Jake Garcia over to Miami?
James Williams, all those guys are trying to recruit him.
I mean, I think with USC going after another quarterback, I think that's kind of probably solidifies that he's gonna flip. You know, he probably already told the coaches like, "Hey, I'm reconsidering." You know, it just depends on the respect he has for the coaches.
Right.
You know, in the recruiting game, it is a dirty game, but at the same time, you know, when you build a relationship with guys, you know, you lean on them and let them know like, hey, you know, I'm thinking about doing this and I'm going to do this or that. So I would most likely say that he's probably going to flip just based off them going after another quarterback, because that's an insurance policy, because each year you recruit a quarterback. Every class has a quarterback. It's one. You have rarely classes where you get two guys, so most times it's just one. So that's just a red flag for me. I think he's probably going to flip. Only thing is that, I mean, you know, Tyler's probably going to transfer out because they're probably going to get Jake the starting job out the gate if he comes.
I don't know, man. I think Tyler is putting his name in the hat to be a starter from what we hear in practice and stuff. He does a really good job. So they could give him a run for his money. I don't know if he transfers out right away, but obviously if we see that, you know, Jake Garcia comes in, that there's kind of writing on the wall for some other guys like maybe Perry, who thought he might have a job of competing, you know, a chance of competing. So the big thing for me is, you know, recruiting early recruiting period, the early signing day, Paul, is what, a month and a half away?
December.
About 2 months, yeah, like middle of December usually.
I think it's December 20th, if I'm not
December
mistaken.
20th, so about a couple months away. By the way, Anthony, no shot with Jason Marshall or Corey Collier. That ship has sailed. I wouldn't even think.
Definitely not Marshall, because that you saw how that played out.
Yeah,
we're not gonna talk about it. We can, but I'd rather not.
Yeah, I mean, Florida has bigger issues to worry about right now. So.
I'm not worried about those two guys. Maybe Marcavius Brown is a guy that we can look at coming in this year. But listen, only 2 spots left, right, Paul, in the 2021 class?
And one's going to be a quarterback. So
yeah, it's got to be a quarterback. It's got to be a
quarterback. And you have so many, you have so many, like I was looking at all the guys they're kind of looking at. There's like probably 6 guys that are in contention for those 2 spots.
But you make room for Jason Smith no matter what. You figure that out.
Oh, yeah.
But some of those guys are probably take the preferred walk-on spot. It's all up in the air. Like those guys who don't get those finals 2 slots, you know, Miami can offer them a preferred walk-on with a scholarship for later. So, you know, you can get a lot of guys out of that.
I think
Miami will find a way for the elite kids too. Like you said, Mason Smith. Like if Mason Smith wants in, they're gonna make room. They're gonna find a way. Same thing with Terrence Lewis. I think. I mean, I don't know how serious the interest is with him, but I feel like he's too good of a guy to pass up. Yeah, they're gonna. I don't know if they'll kick out. I mean, they do like the that they have right now with Tyler Johnson. Who are the other guys again? Chase Smith. They're definitely gonna keep.
Smith, yeah, that's another kid they're gonna keep.
I forgot the other kid. But T2 I think is elite talent.
Yeah, but guys transfer out, so it's always gonna be room for guys to come in, whether they get offered right away or not. Guys don't qualify, stuff like that. So, you know, the recruiting game is very, you know, shaky. But
yeah, So let's talk a little bit about what we got going on next weekend. We face University of Pitt, the Pittsburgh Panthers at 12 p.m. So it's an early game. Pitt's coming off a tough loss to Boston College as well. So they're going to be fired up for this game. Good defensive line, right? Very solid defensive line. Experienced quarterback, and also they've got a couple wide receivers that can play a little bit. That kid, I think his name is Jordan Allison, who's a freshman. He's a player, man. That kid can come in and do some things. And I know that they like to throw the ball down the field. Listen, who's their offensive coordinator? Mark Whipple. Mark Whipple.
I did not know that.
Mark Whipple is the offensive coordinator over
he likes to use a lot of motions and all that stuff.
Former Miami Hurricane offensive coordinator Mark Whipple, who likes to throw the ball down the field. Like you said, Jog, use a lot of motions. Dave, I kind of want to come to you on this. I know that you remember the days of Mark Whipple here at the University of Miami and guys like that. What is he going to do on offense to kind of throw off the Miami Hurricanes defense?
Pitt's not a great running team. They only average just a touch over 3 yards a carry. So I think really he's going to try to open things up and test the secondary. But I got to give a shout out to Jock's guy, DJ Ivey. I think in the last couple of weeks he's really stepped up.
Yeah.
So, I think he was listening to the show and he really took a lot of things we were saying to heart.
Thanks,
so that was good to see, man.
Listen,
but go ahead, Jock.
It's okay. I like when guys respond to adversity.
He's really played well the last couple of weeks. Honestly, he really has. But no, back to Pitt. I think they're kind of a one-dimensional team. They don't really run the ball very well, and I think Whipple's gonna try to use a lot of eye candy and window dressing formations and send a lot of guys out, in bunches and try to the bubble screens and all that kind of stuff. But they can hit some big plays down the field. They've got some guys that can really open things up over the top, and they spread the ball around too. They've got 5 guys with at least 12 catches, so they don't just lean on one guy. They're pretty balanced offense in terms of distributing the ball to the different playmakers in space, and they get the running backs involved in the passing game as well. So I think Miami's going to have to look out for a little bit of kind of some big shots early and really settle into the game, and they got to be much cleaner from the start. I think Pitt's going to come out and sort of replicate that Clemson game plan and try to throw some things out of Miami quick over the top. So I think they just need to settle in and play the game on defense and get some pressure with 4 guys. The pass rush was a little bit lackluster last week against a good Clemson offensive line. So I'm looking for a bounce back from them as well. But
Clemson was getting the ball out pretty fast, though. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, they were getting the ball out quick, definitely.
When they did hold the ball, Miami was getting home.
Quincy Roche looked good against Jackson Carman on a lot of plays. I saw some film on it on some of his moves, and he looked good. Jalen Phillips actually had a sack on Trevor Lawrence as well. So, yeah. But I mean, when they're dunking, it's hard to get to him. Even when he held the ball a little bit on that Keontre Smith shot, you notice exactly what we spoke about, right? You get Trevor Lawrence off his game. He underthrows the ball. He gets rid of it too early, but we just didn't have enough of that. But I digress. I'm sorry. I got back to Clemson there. But they got to keep doing that against Pitt also, right?
Miami's they're gonna have a chance to expose Pitt secondary. They're down. I think they're down to like 4-star and like 4 corners. I know they had one guy injured. Defense is banged up. Last week, Boston College quarterback threw for 358, 3 touchdowns. They had one receiver had 6 catches, 162, had a long touchdown of 77 yards. So Miami's gonna have chances in the passing game to expose a weak secondary. So I want to see them come out, take shots early. They're gonna have a chance. Miami's gonna have a chance, and like Dave alluded to, Pitt's run game is not as strong. So they are, it's a passing game for them. So they're gonna try to establish the run because Miami did look kind of weak against the run against Clemson, but if Miami can stop the run, they win this game easily.
It's hard not to look weak against Travis Etienne, though, right? That's the tough part. So, but I get it. Someone mentions if Isaiah Dunson's going to get a little more playing time if Al Blades Jr. continues to struggle. I don't think Al Blades struggled that much at all. I think he played okay. If Dunson's going to play, it's in the slot or maybe opposite or to give some guys breathers. I don't know if he is necessarily going to get a lot of playing time at all. I probably you probably see
Couch would probably get in there more.
Yeah. Well, that's someone that Coach
He already
Bacon
is
today.
getting in
Paul
more.
Terry Couch
Pitt,
that he's
Pitt,
playing really well.
Pitt had 2 back-to-back weeks where they gave up 300 yards passing to 2 quarterbacks.
Let's go back to back. That's it.
2 back-to-back 1-point losses too. Not just
Miami
last week, but the
opened
week
up
before too.
Yeah, Miami opened up as 10.5-point favorites against them.
That's gonna be interesting. They clearly Clemson covered last week too. By the way, we were all
very wrong.
I think Miami can roll this team though.
Yeah, I think so too. Like you said, Jock, this is a different Miami team, man. I think I think Pitt's gonna come in and they're not gonna be able to handle what Miami's gonna bring to them. I think they're gonna be pissed off and they're gonna show.
Yeah, Narduzzi was already saying about the tempo, like how they're gonna handle that, because their corners back-to-back weeks and against NC State played 90 plays and then Boston College ran 77 plays. So Miami's gonna be creeping up in that range. So I don't see it hanging tough. But I just want Miami to come out focused, no sleepwalking and all that. Just move on from that loss last week. Don't bring that to the game. De'Aaron King's probably, like I said earlier, he's gonna have a 300-yard passing game to me. And they might have a receiver catch for 100 yards. We might get lucky.
No, easy. They can get after the quarterback a little bit. They've been getting torched a little bit in the back end, but they can get after the quarterback. I mean, Patrick Jones can play. He's got 7 sacks on that D-line. They got some players up front. They got
Taiwan.
Yeah, they got 25 sacks on the year, Pitt. So they can apply some pressure. This isn't going to be a cupcake game, I don't think, in the trenches. But I think over the course of the game, Miami is going to be able to establish their running game and make Pittsburgh one-dimensional. And if they play from behind, I really think, like you said, Miami's going to walk away with it later.
They definitely need to get their running game back going.
Can't fall behind early, though. Can't give Pitt confidence and let them be able to dictate anything. Miami's got to come out and control the game because they're the better team.
Absolutely. I'm with you guys. I think we'll probably get into it a little bit deeper on Friday, I guess, or Thursday, whenever you guys want to do it again. We'll kind of break down Pittsburgh a little bit more in depth. We'll probably have a guest on to talk a little bit more about Pitt and some recruiting also. I think I want to get into it. I think the people want to know about recruiting. I think it's important. People love recruiting, so we'll definitely talk a little bit more about that. We'll get a little deeper into that. But I think what we want to do, guys, also is let's do it, in game. Let's do some in-game stuff, man. I know that it was fun last weekend. I know a lot of people love the in-game stuff that we had last weekend. So we'll continue to do that for the viewers, for the followers. We appreciate it. We thank you guys for Anthony. Anthony, you're the man, bro. I don't care.
Anthony, good looking out.
Anthony is the man, bringing the heat today with all the clips, bro. We love it. We love it. So
yeah, I'll be more like Saturday. I think we can do it. I think Miami plays at 12. So
yeah,
if you want to go live, we can go live with a few.
Listen, Paul, you're gonna be at the game. Bless your heart. I'm gonna be with one of these in a pool. I'll have my laptop with me.
Nah, man, no pools, man.
All right, pool all day, baby. All day pool with the TV outside. I'm gonna be chilling on Saturday, man. I need the break. I need the break, guys.
So Doc and Jazz will be shirtless.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course. Hey,
I'm gonna go on the
list.
And Doc shirtless a little more than me. All right.
Hey, and Miami playing at 12 o'clock, so it's gonna be a little bit of an early game. But one thing.
What if I put Jock's chest on my head? You think that'll work? You think it'll look right?
Hey, one thing I do want to say, Manny, I'm sorry. Y'all had a lot of outbreak in Florida. After your coach said he wants to swamp Pack a little bit. Then we got to rethink that one, Manny. But we appreciate Manny always doing a great job producing the show. But
the best producer in the game.
Indeed, very very thank you, Manny.
We'll be back at the end of the week, guys. Thank you so much, Paul, David, Jock. Let's go get it, man. Let's get this W. We'll see you guys. We'll see you guys soon in a few days. Go Canes.
Go Canes.
All right, brothers.